Welcome back to another week of Kernel at the Buzzer. Before this episode starts, we want to remind you that everyone on today's podcast has their own opinions, and it does not reflect the Kernel in entirety. Welcome back to another week of Kernel at the Buzzer. I'm your host, Kai McClelland. Once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Israel Schill, and my co-host, AJ Nava. And this week, we're welcoming a multimedia journalist and a UK athletics intern, Alex Gooch.
So happy to have you on this week.
Great to have you. Having me. Long time coming, I feel.
For sure.
I would agree with that, to say the least.
So right into it, we got to talk about the biggest point of all. The Super Bowl just happened. The Eagles ruined the Chiefs three-peat and took one home for Philly. We had a UK football player who was on Kansas City for this, two Super Bowls the last 2 years. Now he just won one. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting scenario kind of for him. Former UK lineman Darian Kennard, as you can see there right in the middle, was drafted by the Chiefs in, I believe, 2017 or 18.
Okay.
Played a few years. Wasn't anything amazing, anything special, but a good talent, stayed in the league, won 2 straight Super Bowls with the Chiefs, LVII and LVIII. I don't know that.
No, me neither. Me neither.
No need to bring up the numerals.
50.
It was a Super Bowl.
7 and 8, 57, 58.
Sure, yeah.
Sure, we'll go with that. And then won the other day.
He got his own three-peat.
With the Eagles, yeah. So he got his own repeat. Thank goodness.
Who was it in the NBA who did this?
Patrick McCaw.
He was on the Raptors after the Warriors won. Yeah, so
he had the Warriors.
He didn't do
too.
nothing on the group project, but he got that.
But he
A.
got that A. So that's all that matters.
But yeah, a great feat. Regardless of any UK athletes getting that glory, we saw Jalen Hurts get that first ring. We saw Saquon Barkley, his first year off the Giants, get that ring. It's like every year there's a Cinderella story in the Super Bowl, but this, felt special in a way because, you have the empire, the Darth Vader, Patrick Mahomes coming in, and it feels like everyone in the world hates him, and then boom, I don't think there's not as much Philly haters as Chiefs haters, but there's definitely some people that were like, we don't really care about the Super Bowl.
We don't want anyone to win. That's how I felt.
But it felt good to see Saquon get that first one and Jalen Hurts as well after, choking in the first Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
As someone that doesn't care for either of these teams and as someone that actually despises the Eagles, I was rooting for the Eagles. I was so overseeing Patrick Mahomes and everything. And by no means is Jalen Hurts going to be, in my opinion, the next Tom Brady. But, I mean, he kicked ass. He did good. He did what everyone in America needed him to do. And for that, I'm happy. And it turned me into an Eagles fan for about 4 hours.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I was definitely an Eagles fan for a few days there. I mean, I got some weird family connections to being an Eagles fan, but growing up as a Patriots fan, I still, hated them. So
you have every
much.
right.
Every right,
Yeah.
I'd say so. They got us in that Super Bowl back a few years ago when the Eagles won their first franchise
Philly
Super Bowl. So I am glad that Patrick Mahomes is never put that man in the same sentence as Tom Brady and GOAT ever again. It can never be a possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nope,
You throw 2 picks in the Super Bowl. That's more than Tom Brady threw, and he played 5 more of them. You know what I mean? There's so many of these stats that you look at in the Super Bowl and Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. And, maybe if Mahomes wins in 5 or 6 Super Bowls in the next 10 years, we can have that conversation again. But for at least right now, no shot.
I mean, I think here's the situation with Mahomes, right? It's like he's had so much success, and I don't think we can sit here straight up and judge him off of one Super Bowl. Because to be frank, when he lost to Tom Brady, and I believe it was the 2020 season, 2021 season.
Mm-hmm.
In that Super Bowl, the Eagles did the same, defensive style that they did in that. And, I think it's bad coaching to not realize that's what Philly was doing, is just straight up copying Tampa Bay's defense, what they did to beat them the first time. But in between this whole stretch, Mahomes went to, 3 Super Bowls. So it's like he is the modern GOAT, and frankly, he's going to be back. There's no doubt about that. It almost feels like a Steph Curry situation to me. We saw Curry's run with the Warriors all that time. And then the year we least expected the Warriors to make it to the finals, they make it and beat the Boston Celtics. And sorry, but it's just one of those things. It's like you can't count out greatness. And to that point, he will definitely be back. They're still a franchise. They're still going to, regardless if Andy Reid's retiring soon or Travis Kelce's getting on his last leg, they're going to bring someone else in. They're going to be interest for free agents to come to Kansas City, and they're just going to be the modern day Patriots. I believe they're going to win multiple to come.
Continuing with that analogy, it took Steph about 4 years to get back to the finals.
It's
Do
true.
we think Pat is going to get back in about 4 years?
I don't doubt that at all. I think that this wasn't necessary. I think this is more all of a momentum issue. They started off slow. It would have been, they scored 2 touchdowns in the final, how many? They were
it was
it's
low-key stat pattern.
If he didn't throw an interception so early in the game, I think that they honestly would have had a difference of momentum, and I think that the game would have been a lot more interesting, and I think it also would have honestly could have turned the results of the game on its head, in my opinion. The Eagles were very good with their defense, putting pressure on Mahomes, and I think that's something that he's not necessarily used to. Going back to what you said, you can't discard the fact how he played this entire season. You can't say that was bad. This was one game and it was a Super Bowl, and he kind of embarrassed himself a little bit, but he will come back, and I don't think it's far off to say that I think he's going to win a Super Bowl very soon. Maybe not next year, but I think very soon.
Yeah, the way I look at it is Tom Brady took 6 years in between his third Super Bowl appearance and his fourth or something like that. I think it was only 4 years actually from 2000. No, it was a lengthy 7. Period. It was something like that. Yeah. But there was a few years there before. And even it went 10 years before he won another Super Bowl. So you obviously have so much time for quarterbacks to have that opportunity to win later in their career. But football is such a tough sport to keep your longevity alive. And if you're not turning yourself into a super vegan and getting rid of everything else in your diet and doing only resistance band stretches and whatever the heck Tom Brady did for the last 25 years to keep him in the league. But unless Patrick Mahomes can maintain his body and himself for the next
he's not even 30.
15 years. And
but he's also got how many 4 kids. I feel like that's going to put some
put some stress there.
Yeah.
Put some gray hairs on his head.
And his wife. That would cause me some stress as well.
In his performance against what Kai was talking about, his performance against Tom Brady in the Bucs way back in that other Super Bowl, people were saying, oh man, Patrick Mahomes, he can't win. You just saw that offense couldn't do anything, but realistically it was Patrick Mahomes rolling out to his right, throwing a 65-yard pass to Tyreek Hill, hitting him in the helmet, and then having it bounce off his head and him not catch it. And so realistically, I think the Bucs defense did a really good job against them, way back to stop Patrick Mahomes. But this year, I just think the Eagles came in with business ready to go.
They knew what they needed to do.
They knew what they needed to do to win, and they
had
knew
that chip
that
on their shoulder, and that's a dangerous thing to have coming into the Super Bowl against the dynasty.
Yeah, especially when a team like the Chiefs, who haven't really won a convincing game all season, and so it's hard to look at a team who went 15-1 or 16-1, 15-2, 15-2. Yeah, and just for them to have it really be useless.
The thing is too, it's obviously Saquon had that amazing season, and the Chiefs, really did a good job at focusing on him. But like Gooch said, it's a testament to why Jalen Hurts won Super Bowl MVP, is because you know that offense is going to run through Saquon. He had the most rushing yards in history with the postseason, regular season combined. And Jalen Hurts is out there going for almost 300 total yards and 3 touchdowns. And, making those throws that he really wasn't making all season, and coming up, you get those defensive turnovers and you get those interceptions. It doesn't matter if you don't get points on the board, and they scored a touchdown right after those interceptions. So number one, that's important. He capitalized every time he had to capitalize, and ultimately that's why we're looking at it. And they put up 40 on a team that was rumored to have the easiest three-peat possible.
I think the only person I feel bad for on the Chiefs is DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Probably the only guy I
man. He
feel
got
bad
his
for.
tud. He got his touchdown.
Got a Super Bowl touchdown, was able to give the ball to his mom as he always does, which is real sweet, but,
Yeah.
As a Texans fan too, that was rough to watch.
Yeah.
Seeing him on the field and just not get anything going.
yeah, I wish he was on the Eagles
I wish.
just for that win,
I know this is so off topic, but I feel like DeAndre Hopkins did that to himself because when he was a free agent, bro chose the Titans, bro, over anybody.
He
like
did. He
I
did.
would play for the
He was
Chiefs.
like, man, Ryan Tannehill.
Imagine playing for the
Oh, boy.
Chiefs like 4 years ago for like $1 million compared to getting like $9 million more, and you're on the Chiefs now, but they didn't win.
Yeah.
You suffered on the Titans with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph and Ryan Tannehill and all these horrible quarterbacks compared to Mahomes. Like he definitely could have took a deal somewhere and like took a little bit of a pay cut. Money talks, I guess.
It was like
but
the Antonio Brown on the Patriots,
Yeah,
Just
man.
trying to
It's
get in
like
there and win the ship
trying
and
to
get
sneak
out.
in
You
there
know?
and get out, but
Yeah.
But I
Man.
also think that this whole Super Bowl, I think that if we can talk about the coaching staff for a second,
Yeah.
I think the difference between Matt Nagy as offensive coordinator and Kellen Moore, I think they're miles ahead, like apart from each other, in my opinion. I mean, I think Matt Nagy's performance at the Bears also shows a lot about who he is as a person, as a coach. And I think, I don't like Matt Nagy. I don't think that he's as good as people might say. I don't think he's worth the money. But Kellen Moore, I think he could perform in any situation. I just think he's probably one of the best offensive coordinators of my time. And I'm one of the most disappointing things I've heard this season was that he wasn't going to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, even though he was a traitor for a second.
Yeah.
But I think I miss him so much. I think we did really good when he was on the Cowboys, and I think that really says a lot about, what the Eagles did on Sunday.
It's interesting because it's really like, especially after the game's over, it's been a completely different story for both of them because, Chiefs fans are calling for Matt Nagy to get fired now, and Kellen Moore's got a new head coaching job with the Saints. So it's like it really goes to show what a win will do for you.
But there's also a pattern here with Matt Nagy. There's a pattern.
Yeah.
Like wherever Matt Nagy goes, no one likes him.
No.
He's not as successful as people paint him to be. And I think, I don't know. I don't know what he's still doing there. I don't know why people pick him up because he really hasn't been that successful anywhere he goes.
Well, even with that, like the NFL is just the land of opportunity. Like he's gonna go to other places and try his hand, but like he said, now with Kellen going to New Orleans now, and then you have guys like Ben Johnson who, helped the Detroit Lions have one of the best offensive seasons ever, and he's gone to the Bears.
Can we get a round of applause for the Lions this year, though?
shout out Detroit.
That was an injustice.
We'll get a round of applause.
Seriously, that was an injustice this year. I was disappointed.
It was.
Yeah.
It was sad to see them lose at home like that.
Yeah.
It was.
But
That's
even
heartbreaking.
like with the coaching, like there's maybe like 5 guys that feel like so safe in the league. Like, oh yeah, they'll never leave. It's like you got Dan Campbell with the Lions, and you got your Andy Reid, Harbaugh maybe. Like there's guys that are safe, but everyone else is moving. Detroit lost 7 coaches, right, including like all their skill positions.
Yeah.
Damn.
And then you have, the Eagles are going to have, I'm assuming like they're probably going to have some people dip out on them too. And it's like, that's why it's so hard to three-peat, is because like the Chiefs have gone through their rumble too. It's like, I don't understand why you can't just stick with the same guys that win it every year, but stuff happens.
From the perspective of somebody who won 6 Super Bowls and had the same coaches there for all those times, Patriots fan, we held the same 3 guys as top. Oh, I'm sorry there. You're just mad because the Texans are horrible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I am mad. Yeah, but go on.
Anyways, it was Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniels, and Belichick for like 16 straight years or something like that.
It's crazy.
And there was like a few years where towards the end, Josh McDaniels tried to go be a head coach in Vegas and went like 2-14 or whatever, and then Matt Patricia went to the Lions and had a losing season, but then they all came right back to New England and won another Super Bowl.
I think it's just because like things are inflated now.
I
Like
do.
it's straight up like money talk.
But I also think it's culture, and I think culture is
I think it is a chemistry
huge.
thing. It's
and
definitely a
with your
chemistry.
offense, and like so, I'm sure Patrick Mahomes is fine with Nagy because they were winning. And he gets to do whatever he wants. And the offense was great when he first got there because they had so many weapons. And now, the last few years, he's lost out on all of his wide receivers and doesn't really have anything great in the backfield besides Pacheco and Hunt, who,
And let's be real. We can touch on Mahomes again, too. You have a rookie wide receiver who just went for 120-2 in the Super Bowl, no matter – whatever stat pattern you want to bring up, he still had
157.
You have Rashee Rice, who's wow. I mean, 157
on 8 receptions.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, he's going into his second year. You have Rashee Rice going into his third year. Pacheco, I'm pretty sure his fourth or fifth. So it's like these guys are young, and it's like you cannot count Mahomes out because Mahomes is even young, compared to most of the elite quarterbacks in the league. So.
It's the same fear.
Kansas City will definitely, have a dynasty for years to come.
Yeah, it was the same fear that the rest of the league had, and then when the Patriots won their first 3, it's like we just don't want to see these guys win every single year now, and it's the same.
And then Gronk happened.
And then it's like, exactly. And so, as people who aren't Chiefs fans, and I'm sure we're all Chiefs haters, really, to say the least. So I
appreciate the greatness. But
I appreciate the greatness.
I appreciate it, but I'm bored with it.
It is, and I don't want Patrick Mahomes to get a Rob Gronkowski in 3 years after Travis Kelce retires, or get these weapons when he's 40 and win another Super Bowl. Like, I'm going to lose my mind.
We were looking at the mock drafts last night, and Loveland from Michigan is who, the Chiefs are,
of course,
mocking to get.
Of course it would.
He's like a big 6'4" tight end, and it's like
and it's like he's gonna go there and just get put into the perfect system for what he needs to do in Kansas City.
I don't think they need a tight end. I think Noah Gray's a great backup. But regardless, I mean, that's another Travis Kelce. So
it is.
They're gonna script it to where it's gonna go back to how it was for the past 3 years.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break from the episode here to play a short game, this time not name that player, but name that logo. All right, so instead of guessing a player, we finally turned it over to something new. Nothing really that new, but it's a little bit more new. And so we have name that logo, and while I'm sure by looking around at the logos that you see, it looks extremely easy. I'm sure you guys can name most of these. But we're just going to get into it so I don't let you guys think about it too hard before we get started here.
Okay.
And so this first logo we got here, and it's just going to be a yell it out the second all right?
Boston College.
Ooh, all right. And so I figured we start off easy. That's Boston College. That was a good one there.
Shout out.
I got it off first, just barely before Gooch. This one's also pretty easy.
I'm sweeping.
Are you?
Yep.
Okay.
Keep that in when he loses a point.
It's going to see the start of the video. I'm sweeping. All right.
Vanderbilt.
There you go.
Bro.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be faster than that.
My brain isn't moving that fast. It's fine.
You got to be faster. That was a good one there.
Fine.
All right. It's Vanderbilt. So this next one, you guys got to think about it, all right? Okay. This could be a lot of different schools. But there's just a...
It's going to be an oval.
No, not yet. There's a lot of different schools with a similar looking outline as this one. There are some minor details that may give it away.
South Carolina.
Stanford.
There you go. The tree in the background of that one just barely peeking out. We'll go back, give you another look at that. You can see just barely the tree
Syracuse.
Peeking out. This one shouldn't be too difficult.
NC State.
Oh my God.
I was never going to guess that. I was never going to guess that.
There's only one.
The Wolfpack.
The Wolfpack. That's such a prominent logo.
No. Not for me, no.
Really?
Absolutely not.
All right.
Not enough for me.
Maybe I just don't know my ball like that.
Here we go. Again, I'm a great host. All or nothing on this last one.
Winner takes all here, guys. This one.
Wait, so if I get this, can I win the whole game?
If you get this one, you win, all right? So I need everyone locking in here because this one is not difficult.
Laser focus.
Do not overthink this one.
The anticipation is like...
That's the point. Do not overthink it, okay?
University of Kentucky. Georgia.
AJ!
Goodbye.
With the win.
Goodbye.
Right there at the last second.
I did it.
Pulls it out. Finally wins
exactly what I was gonna do.
Good job, AJ.
This is the first time AJ has won.
I can't lie.
So
I was about
proud
to
of
guess
you.
like Mizzou. I thought you went like a different route.
Yeah, no, it was. I figured there's
Georgia.
only one logo that's just an oval.
Clearly, I don't know my logos. That's okay. I'm gonna go and study.
Alex does not have ball.
Clearly,
I don't know ball.
She will
Clearly.
come back with vengeance.
She will come back with vengeance. Next time we'll.
I would like to thank God. I would like to thank my mom. I would like to thank Kai, the host,
You're
for
welcome.
making it winner take all. You know.
So club sports at the University of Kentucky, obviously very prominent, as we have a lot of teams that aren't able to have an NCAA group. So starting off with hockey.
Congrats! They just got promoted.
They just got promoted
Highest
to D1.
level of non-varsity. Good
They
for
are.
them.
Yes, so congratulations to
Good
the
for
hockey
them.
club. They actually went undefeated in the second semester for the first time since 93-94.
Wow. No small
Dang.
feat.
2 decades.
So
Wow.
that's
2
good.
decades.
So they brought themselves up to be ranked second in the TSCHL, the Tri-State Collegiate Hockey League, and they're sitting at 9-3-1.
And they swept in the Bourbon Barrel.
They
so
did
good for
sweep
you.
in the Bourbon Barrel, and that's actually a picture there on the right. Figured I'd take a nice picture from the Bourbon Barrel
Good
game
for them.
there, and yeah, so it'll be good. You know, they've had a few runs at the playoffs and winning the TSCHL. I'm never gonna be able to get that right on
Never.
the first
No,
try,
never.
but
It takes
that's
a couple
all right.
reps.
It
It's
does,
all right.
and
It's all right.
you know, they clinched their spot in the playoffs on January 25th with a 5-0 win over U of L.
But will they win?
Will they win the playoffs?
Yes.
That's your question. Well, I don't know. You tell me. They face off against Ohio State
Where are their
this
chances?
Friday
I-
at 2:45 in the first round of the playoffs in Athens, Ohio. What do you think, Alex?
I don't know. Actually. I don't think so. Because when was the last time they've won a play? Like, when was the last time they've come out on top?
Of the whole playoffs?
Yeah. Because, like, I mean,
I'm not sure.
if they haven't gone undefeated since 93-94, this is not going to be the year they turn it around.
Yeah, you know, Ohio State is 10-5.
Okay.
So they're real good.
Tough opponent.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that it's good. I mean, it's going to be tough.
They've scored a lot of goals, too. 65 goals, only allowed 41.
Well,
It's
that's
like
like 4
UK is they have
four.
momentum
Yeah.
on their side.
They
you know?
do. No, they do. I mean, their freshman, Alex Klingerman, I think he's one of the best players they have right now. He's one of the highest scorers on the team. He's, I mean, interesting to watch. I think something that's going for the hockey team aesthetically or entertaining wise is their violence.
Absolutely. They
People
love
go
it.
and they talk about their violence,
Yeah.
and it's interesting to watch. It is. I mean, I don't know how well that's going to help them win a playoff champion.
Well, it does help to
but-
set the tone. It does.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you got guys to go in there and set the tone early, and you know, try and get some points on the board while also being aggressive on the defensive end. You know, and get a few pucks behind the keeper, and you know, get a chance to squeeze past the first round. I think they have a chance at doing it.
And I mean, definitely, regardless of the outcome, it's on a rise, you know?
Absolutely, Kentucky hockey's been on a rise for sure in the last few years, and those games are so much fun.
Those
to
are so
go
fun.
to.
There's no place in college hockey, I mean, at least the non-varsity level, that's like the Lexington Ice Center. I mean, people have said that. They come and they're like, this is unlike any environment. I've seen places like in Ohio, I've been to one of the games. No one shows up. No one cares. But then when it comes to UK, everyone loves it. Plus, they're at midnight.
Yeah,
No
there's
other place
BBN
has
There's
Baby.
nowhere else in the country where you can go and watch your collegiate lacrosse team, who's not that bad, play at midnight,
bad.
wait in a line. Everybody who's ever in that line has had at least 5 or 6 alcoholic beverages
Yep.
at that point. So it makes for a very rowdy crowd.
You go have
get
a
in
few
there.
beers, watch some bloodshed. What could be better?
People are loud. They are rowdy. The fans hype up the team really well. The energy in that building is awesome.
It's electric.
It really is.
It
It's
really
electric.
is.
And to give a perspective, people get denied at the door because of capacity.
Because of how many people.
Right.
Yeah.
and about
Walking
only
through it.
1,000 people, I believe, fit in
Yeah,
there.
walking through it, you literally have to squeeze. It's like a bar. It is
gets
quite literally like a
filled
bar.
out every time.
Yeah.
And that helps the team as a whole complete. When you have 1,000 drunk college kids just cheering you on,
Yeah, and they're
wanting to see blood.
Pouring right over the top of the glass too,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
on the whatever net is barely
Yeah,
holding them
barely.
from falling onto the ice. And
I think at one point a window did break.
I do think so, because
Yeah.
kids would kick them in. And
Honestly, I've
I'm
been,
sure I was there freshman year doing
Yeah,
the
I'm
same
sure
thing.
we've all done the same
So
thing.
putting all that into perspective, do we think UK is going to come out on top?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, I don't think they'll be able to win the playoffs.
But I think they could. I mean, in a few years, I just don't think like right now. I don't think they have the team to do it. I mean, I think individually there are a lot of good players. Mark, I don't know how to say his last name. LaRue.
So I know that
French.
Mark LaRue is French Canadian. He's from my hometown.
Oh, really?
In
Did
New
you
Hampshire.
know him?
No, I didn't know him growing up, but we had a lot of mutual followers when I first looked at him on Instagram, and I was like,
okay.
wow, everybody from where we are from has like a really French name.
Yeah.
So-
they do. There's also like
Because we're very close to Canada, Montreal.
Jake or Jack Loeb. I think that's also
Jake
French.
I think it's
Jake.
Labe.
No, I think it's Loeb.
Is it Loeb?
I
I know
don't
it's
know, we could
spelled
be wrong.
Laube.
Yeah, and it's
Yes.
confusing, but
Just
no,
put a
I
little
think,
French spin on it, and that's probably
Yeah,
how
yeah,
it's
yeah.
sold.
You know, most
Yeah.
hockey kids are
yeah,
French.
you know,
Louveau.
French. I don't know about
Canadian.
that one.
French Canadian.
French Canadian.
I think that's a good one. Let's just go for the middleman right there.
Yeah, French
Yeah,
Canadian.
yeah.
But no,
French
I don't think
Canadian.
they can do it. I think they will at some point. But you know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a promising future. For
Okay,
them.
but let's talk about TP for a second. Tim. Why don't we
Tim
know?
Pergram.
Yeah, I don't know the pronunciation of any of
How do
these
you
guys.
say it?
Program.
Tim Pergram?
TP. Let's just go for
Pergram.
TP.
TP. That's what
Oh, TP. Yeah,
TP.
Allegedly, for being the second winningest hockey coach in Kentucky history, and he's never put on a pair of ice skates. Allegedly, it's kind of impressive.
That's really impressive. But you know
Right?
what they say: best coaches never play.
Right, but I feel like with
Okay, but
That's what they
with
say.
hockey, I
they're
feel like
not
you
talking
kind of
about.
Come on, Bill Belichick played lacrosse,
really,
lacrosse and hockey.
and he never
Like a
played
little
football.
bit of football when he was a kid.
At least he still played
His
though. I
dad-
don't
I
think he
think his
ever.
dad
I don't
coached at
think TP
UNC, so-
ever has put on a pair of skates.
That's
I don't
impressive,
believe
you
that.
know.
I don't
And
believe that.
No, I mean
he got a good squad too.
I
so.
can't say my sources. I'm not allowed to say my sources, but allegedly he's coached his son, who I think
Clay?
who coaches there now.
Yeah, he does.
He coached him when he was younger, so like he knows. But apparently, there are some times where he like doesn't even know. I don't think he even uses the correct word for backward skating.
I would just call it backward skating. I didn't know there was
There's
a
a
correct
word.
term.
There, allegedly, I think there's a word for everything.
You're
when it comes
using
to
this
these
word a
things.
lot right now, Gooch. Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Everything's alleged with
because
you.
there is no. I mean, there's no evidence that he ever put on a pair of skates. But it's like, and I looked into it. I did,
You
and
do
I
your
have
research?
sources. I have some
You went
pretty.
back in the yearbooks.
I went back in the books.
Yeah.
And I have some confidential sources
Oh,
that says maybe he might not have ever put on a pair of skates.
Well, I guess we can't disagree with the confidential sources there because we don't know. Oh,
What
which
was
one?
that?
Which one did you just click?
The alien sound.
Oh,
'Cause it's mysterious. It's a conspiracy.
it is. It's a conspiracy.
So,
Anywho. Let's
Anywho.
move on.
boxing.
Yeah, let's move
Let's
on to
go on to
boxing.
boxing.
So, the University of Kentucky, the University of Kentucky Boxing Club held their first exhibition fight night last semester in November. It was a whole lot of fun to go to. As you can see there, it was very bloody. It was
That's awesome.
gory, aggressive.
It makes it 10 times better.
It
the
does,
best
and
kind
there
of
was
boxing
10
match.
fights between 20 amateurs, and man, did they all really want to win. And so it was really fun, really cool. The press conference beforehand was
Awesome.
electric.
Awesome.
Absolutely electric. I do want to mention real quick, since this is coming out beforehand, the Boxing Club is hosting a bake sale fundraiser on Friday, February 14th, when this comes out at 1 to 3 p.m. outside the 90s. So please do go support them, as all of their proceeds have to be funded personally. So
I have so much respect for club boxing. I
I
really
do too.
do.
I mean, they go and they buy all of their own
They-
bags, they buy their own gloves, and they really work really hard.
They work very hard. I always see them every single time I go into the gym. I see them. I see at least someone from there, like boxing, training, and I mean they treat it like a UFC match.
They do, yeah.
Even the press conferences, they walk up to the table and they're like,
Yeah, they did
And
their
I think
face
that's
off
awesome.
and
I
they did
think
their
that's awesome.
weigh-ins, and it was really cool. Being at that press conference was really cool, really funny, because it was cool to see the guys have their friends there, but also people who were interested in seeing the fights.
and they're very passionate about it.
They are.
You know, a lot of club sports lack like the passion for the actual sport, and these guys are very passionate. Like they're cussing each other out. They're putting up some beef, whether it's real or not. I think it's interesting. It's
was-
interesting to watch like a Jake
it
Paul,
is.
Mike Tyson. type
It is,
vibe.
and I believe there was a few instances. I think it was fight one. This guy, Prince Mustafa, is what he called himself, and he said that he was going to send his opponent back to where he was from in a box. And I'm going to work.
Cold.
I'm going to pull up that original quote, I think, now in just a second and see if I can grab it. But, I mean, it was really crazy.
Cold.
That's
It was
awesome.
really
One of
crazy.
them, well, the one that I was watching, he's like, I'm gonna censor out some words, but he was like, I'm gonna break your jaw, like I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. Like he was, and then the other guy was chirping him back. He's like, you don't have the skill set, bro. Like you can't do this. And I was like,
Here we go. I got the direct quote here. So Mustafa said, so it was the fight against Hamlet Arroyo and Mustafa Mubarak. And Mustafa, I believe, won the fight. But before he said, he's going to be in a pile of blood, sweat, tears, and puke. I'm going to send him back to Costa Rica in a box. I mean, that is
That's
cinema.
awesome.
It's cinema. It's
Absolute cinema.
It is. It's so much fun to have these guys take it this seriously. And when it's really just fun and games at the end of the day, to these guys, it is not fun and games when you're saying stuff like that to your opponent.
like that's awesome.
It is.
That
It
is so
really is.
awesome. And like that's what brings in money. That's what brings in viewership. That's like they're doing it right. I mean, their marketing, I was stalking their Instagram. Their marketing is pretty good.
Yeah, it
and
is. It
shout
is.
out to the women. I think their president is a girl.
Yes.
Which I love.
Yes.
That's
Emmy
awesome.
Arizola, I
Yeah.
believe is how you pronounce her last name.
Yeah.
Sorry, Emmy, if I messed
I
it
think I think she almost ran me over on her electric skateboard today. I think if it's the same girl, but
W
I mean,
Shell.
hilarious.
I was like, you know what, respect. Like you can run me over,
and
that's fine.
So I do want to mention her, and so she's actually the founder of the club. She founded the club her freshman year, her first semester here. And
What is she now?
She's a junior.
Okay.
So the president of the club is Hunter Williams, and he fights, tries to fight amateur, and he's working on actually becoming a professional boxer. I wrote a feature on him that I don't think has been published yet, but I wrote a feature on him and how he's trying to get ready to fight in the Olympics someday. And I think it's really cool to just have like these big aspirations at least try and come to fruition. And he works super hard to try and make sure that they can set up these fight nights, or I know they're working right now to try and set up intercollegiate matches between other boxing clubs. And so I think it's really cool what they're doing here, because it hasn't been done before at Kentucky when it comes to boxing. And I think it's a really good opportunity to grow that sport here.
Agreed.
Kai, would you do me the honor of attending a boxing match with me?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where's my invitation?
I'm down to go.
Wow.
This is
I wanna
Does
go.
No
all of us
invitation
wanna
for
go?
Gooch.
this is
I wanna go.
exciting
Yeah,
to me.
guys.
Like all this talk.
This
I'm
is
trying to see it.
I'm trying.
It
I would
was
go.
so
I bet.
fun. I will say they all had walkout songs. They had somebody.
No way.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Where
they-
do they do this?
So-
is it in alumni? No, that's just where
it
they
is
practice.
in some warehouse in Lexington at
Cool.
some fight club.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really, really cool. They did
I
like
believe
these
my
walkout
roommate-
songs,
I wanna
and they each came around from outside the ring.
Do they
and
have
like,
robes? They have, like, a robe
some
on?
of them came out in like flags of like their home country, and some of them came
Man.
out in like whatever. But so awesome. They had like
That's
a
awesome.
Bruce Buffer type
I
guy
believe my
up there
roommates went to that, and they
announcing.
said it was really good.
It
so
really was. It was so
definitely
awesome.
wanted to check
I mean,
it
my
out.
girlfriend who hates sports was there because she just wanted to see people fight. She
There
thought
you
it was
go.
really cool. You know
I
what
love
mean?
that. That's awesome.
She's like, hey, these
Seeing
people are beating
people-
each other
yeah.
up. This is great. you know?
legally seeing people fight each other.
Absolutely.
Okay, so confirmed. Colonel at the buzzer. We're all going to
We're
see
going.
the box.
Confirmed.
Yeah,
we will be
great.
at the next boxing match.
When is it?
Unknown yet. I did talk to Hunter and Emmy. They have yet to have an official date on when they're scheduling their next fight night, but there should be at least one this semester.
Awesome.
All right.
I bet that takes a lot to plan anyway.
It does, because you have to,
Get the warehouse. Get
but they
the,
also they get sponsorships to help fund it, and then they have to have 20 fighters, and they want to have people in different weight classes, and they want to try. I know they wanted to try and get women to fight in the next
Let's
one.
sign
Yeah, I
up,
was gonna
AJ.
say, do
Let's
women
sign up.
fight?
Let's go.
We
So
got this.
Emmy
We got
fought her first time, I believe. Emmy fought, and her and her opponent, I think, were the only two women to fight. But I know that we asked them about it after. Cole and I asked to see if they were going to try and integrate any more women into the group and see if more of them wanted to fight. And they said, yeah, they're going to really try and advertise to the crowd of people who might be scared of joining the boxing club because of big scary people who are going to hurt me, but really it's just a bunch of people who just want to do it for sport and leisure.
Right.
Yeah, I was watching the Instagram and I was like, I could low-key do that.
Really.
It looks like fun.
It looks
does.
like
Would you?
a heck of a
No,
lot
I'm
of
too
fun.
scared of someone breaking my face.
AJ, if you join, I'll join. We'll box each other fight night.
We're not in the same weight class. I'm
I would.
too
Can
scared to
you
fight
guys just
you.
box
You're right.
anyways?
Yeah.
I would really like to see that. Colonel fight night.
Colonel fight night
Yes.
must be illegal.
Must no, not actually. No.
AJ, what weight class are you in?
I'm just not in
Can you
the
ask that
boxing.
question?
No.
Can you ask that question?
Yeah, we're friends. He can ask.
I can ask AJ how much he weighs. Not scared of that.
I don't know. What's a 160? What weight class is that?
160 something. I don't know. All I know is that would take a lot of work for me and try to pump down to 160. So
Or maybe I could try.
I'm going to steer clear of that one.
Class.
You want to try and get up to 200?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I was so lying. I'm
the trash
definitely-
bag method.
Oh, just sweating trash bags
Yeah.
all day?
Just
Little
do that.
sauna
That'd be really
work.
good.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
Okay,
Well,
so-
I've lost a few weight with my new allergens, my new diet. So,
Okay.
Oh.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
So confirmed. We're all going to see a boxing match, and then also
Are you,
confirmed.
what are we?
I was trying to do the applause. Okay, Cammy.
One of these days you're gonna get it.
One of these days, I'm going to get the right one.
All right, so we're going to let's transition over to talk about a little bit of lacrosse before we bounce off of the club sports section here. And so I guess we'll start with the men's team. They're 0-3 so far to
Not
start
much
off
hype
the
around the
season.
team.
Not much hype around the team.
Not
you know,
yet.
It was really, you know, exciting for them to jump in the D1 scene to start this season off. Obviously, they have so many tough opponents to face, ranked opponents. Some of the best programs that don't have NCAA teams in the country are in their conference. And so there's a lot of really, really tough opponents for this men's team. Haven't had a win so far. They came really close on Sunday against Purdue, losing 6-7. It was a good game. It was a well-fought battle. Weren't able to get it out. They do have 2 games this upcoming week on Friday, 8 p.m. So the day this comes out at 8 p.m. against Miami of Ohio at home, and on the 16th on Sunday against Kennesaw State. So I think those are definitely 2 opportunities there for them to try and get a first win of the season at home.
I mean, those are games to watch out for. These guys, they're going to take full advantage of like the break that they've had. They've had a few days since their last game to kind of get their stuff together, and they play physical defense. Those guys on the field knock their opponents down.
There's like a really big guy on the team, right? I saw him like absolutely body slam someone.
There are a few.
Yeah.
there are a few.
I mean,
Shout out to goalkeeper who started in the last 2 games, Connor France. Connor France, man. He steps out of net and he is not afraid of anybody. If he got an attackman with the ball right in front of him, in front of the net, he steps out of the crease and just lays him out. He's like, I'm not even going to try and take the shot attempt at him. I'm just going to put him on the ground. Sure, it's put him in the penalty box twice, but
happens.
it
You
happens.
got to make sacrifices.
You got to fight to win, and
He
he's
makes a
definitely
statement
fighter.
every time he's on the field.
Absolutely.
Like, not only is he a brick wall, he does all that as well.
He does.
He does not allow goals, given they are 0-3. But he's still...
Progress is progress.
Progress
is
is
progress.
progress. Yep.
Wait, so what is like the? I mean, I'm not really fluent in lacrosse, but what is like a good average score for like a medium level team?
So I was explaining this to somebody actually the other day, that I would say at the collegiate level where we're at, an average score of a game would be anywhere of, you know, with the lowest score somewhere around 8 to 12 and the higher score being somewhere around 15 to 20.
And in
okay, and they
UK
haven't gotten past 6 except for the game at Pitt. So
Yeah, their last 3 games
Yes.
they lost 6-7 against Purdue, lost 6-15 against Indiana, and then lost 15-10 against Pittsburgh.
So they're having a bit of a tough time putting the ball in the net right now, but they do have some really strong offensive weapons. They have this
there's
freshman.
potential.
Yeah, they have this freshman, Peter Johnson, who's a lefty, and it's great to have a lefty playing on the right side of the field because it's a mismatch with the defender. Because, you know, if it's a lefty on a righty, or then the stick is going to be on the opposite side, and so it's going to be a chance for them to get in. And he's had some great opportunities, some good shots put in, and I think the attack's working really well too with Jake Williams, and Gazaldo has been playing his heart out, really trying to help with the clears. And so I think if they kind of clean up the issues that they've had to start off the season, I do think they have a good opportunity to string some wins together as the season goes on. I mean, it's early. They just got into Division I. They have a lot to unpack. It's club, so, you know, completely funded by them. They're really busy. You know, starting goalkeeper Bryce Mode is actually team president, team captain, and he takes a lot of the workload as well as being on the team to make sure that they can make it to their, you know, to their scheduled games. They can make sure that they have everything ready to go. He gets there well early before the games start to set everything up on the field, and it's like it's really nice to see this community kind of, you know, indulge around lacrosse and a sport that's not super huge in the state of Kentucky.
Because all these guys, they are so passionate about what they do. Like, you're talking about Bryce Mode. Nothing on that team does not go through him. He handles the tables that they set up at admission, he handles. Warming all the guys up, he's a voice of the team. Will Guzal, though, to like kind of put it into perspective, he's like kind of the Patrick Beverly of their team.
Okay. He is.
He is so passionate, so fierce. He said a few choice words to a ref not too long ago. A few times. But
a few games.
You can see it in the way they move on the field. Those guys love what they do, and it's only up for them if they can keep this fire.
So the women's lacrosse team had their first game on February 8th against Xavier. They actually won 10-5, so maybe some more promising wins here for the women's side as compared to the men's. I'm unfortunately not extremely educated on the women's team, as they don't have a website with a very updated roster and scheduling and stuff. They have an Instagram page that's good to work off of, but I think as the season goes on, it'll be good to see if maybe they do something. As again, lacrosse just became sanctioned for high school in Kentucky, so I think as more kids come out of high school here with the intention of playing lacrosse, I think Kentucky could end up being a destination for a lot of kids in this part of the country who maybe aren't looking to go up to play Maryland or somewhere far away from home if they want to play lacrosse and they're real good. So I think it'll be good, but it about wraps it up for club sports.
Kentucky basketball, it seems like with their tough conferences that there's highs and there's some lows. They seem to stalemate in some games. Kentucky men's basketball was on a stretch where they lost 4 out of their last 5 games, but then they come back with strong wins against South Carolina and even against Tennessee, who many people thought they'd split this year, but Kentucky beats them for the second time this season. And then the women's basketball, showcasing these strong conferences. Ole Miss isn't ranked, but they're a team that's peaking right there. Ole Miss beats them in that trap game. And with the basketball teams here, it's kind of an area where you can't critique them every week because then they prove you wrong. But then right when you praise them, they're going to disappoint you. So these basketball teams, great seasons so far. We'll see what they can do. Both the men's and women will take on Texas in their next game. The women's play them in historic Memorial Coliseum on Thursday, and the men will travel to Texas to play them on Saturday. So we've had some cats on the move, and we touched on this last week. De'Aaron Fox has debuted for the Spurs, where he had an amazing game against Atlanta with 24 points and 13 assists. Since his arrival in San Antonio, the Spurs have gone 2-2, losing their 2 games by just 1 point off of buzzer beaters by Miles Bridges and Franz Wagner. Since he has been in his new home in San Antonio, he has averaged 21 points per game, along with 8.5 assists. Also, Anthony Davis, in one of the biggest blockbuster trades in NBA history, debuted for the Dallas Mavericks, and he had a very impressive debut against the Houston Rockets, where he had 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. He did this in the majority of the first half. However, he went down with an injury, kind of making people laugh at the whole Luka trade, considering that everyone was thinking Anthony Davis would be a health threat. Some argued he wouldn't be, but now he is out for an undisclosed time. This raises a whole lot of questions for the Mavericks fans, considering they have 4 hurt big men on their roster now. Their GM argued that defense means everything, but what defense can you play with no big man on the court? Thank you for watching and listening to another week of Kernel at the Buzzer. Make sure to check us out at kykernel.com for all your sports news and updates. And also check us out on X at KYKernelSports. Once again, I've been your host, Kai McClelland, and thank you for catching up with the Kernel.